Maybe it,
I just checked on my computer and it's not either.
there it is. No. There it is. Now it's there.
It's been this way.
What's that?
So the whole day's been this way.
It has. Okay, should be going now.
You know how to do all this for us next week. Plugs in, that's all you do.
I see people.
Okay. She good?
She's probably turned it off.
Okay, it should be going now. If I can turn it off. It's there. Okay, we got it right now. Sorry about that for everybody waiting online to view this. We had some technical difficulties this evening, and we are one interview in. So let me hit that one. So that one's going also. All right.
What do you understand about how Oregon special districts adopt budgets? Do public notice hearings, committee role versus board role, and how levies or tax bases fit into that process?
Really not much. Like I said, I'm new to this. I've never been in a position like this before. I've worked in some management positions, but other than that,
So, just to ask something on that line, you were good working with other people in a group environment? Because that's part of this, is you're all working together.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
All right, and next, a subscription service has funded the district for 47 years. Okay. From a finance standpoint, what changes when a district moves to a tax base? What improves? What new risks appear? And what should we be careful about?
Getting voters to vote in the levy or however they get it done is huge. And everybody knows with the price of taxes and everything else, it's, I mean, we can't even get our schools funded. And it's really sad. So, if anything, I would think people would, the average voter would want to have a district like this to protect their property. It's if we learned anything in the last 15, 20 years, that right there should be enough to make people want to vote.
That's just 4 questions you asked, right?
Huh?
That's the only 4 we're gonna.
No, we did 6 on the previous. Yeah, I can do the next 2 if you'd like, Randy. I can do them, Randy. I'll do it. Yeah. All right. How would you set reserve targets for new district? Operating reserve, contingency, and emergency wildfire surge costs. What percentages or months of coverage would you consider reasonable and why?
It's another big question for not ever doing.
Right. But, like thinking along household budgeting, let's say worst case scenario, if something were to happen and there were no revenue coming in per se, but you had some big things that were coming up, like let's say, well, that's not even right. So you have revenue coming in, but let's say you have maintenance or upkeep, something happens, let's say like a water heater blows. I mean, so how would you prepare for that at the beginning of the year? So like worst case scenario, if something did happen, would you put types of?
We generally keep at least 3 months of income.
Okay.
Put away. We have fund for repairs as they come along, whether it be household or just it's not wise not to have some sort of savings.
Right.
We call that contingency funds.
Yeah.
Contingency reserve funds, yeah. Okay. We'll need land, stations, and equipment starting from 0. How would you structure a multi-year capital plan and decide what gets funded first?
Gosh, I think it goes back to the community. the community has to get behind the fire district. They have to want that security, and the funding is gonna run out eventually. I mean, if the people aren't behind it, it's gonna be just like every other levy that's been out there and people don't know. So, yeah,
How would you categorize like personnel, equipment, stations? What kind of order might you prioritize those in that you think is?
yeah. Stations, you have to have a place to keep the equipment. Personnel would be the next one. If you don't have personnel, you can't fight the fires.
Okay.
Yeah, so, yeah, so. A little bit out of my range.
Yeah, oh yeah, no worries. So those are the basic 6 questions that we're asking everybody this evening. Do you have any questions for us?
Read through some of you guys have posted, to familiarize myself, and brand new, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not much history, right?
Follow you guys on Facebook, so I can see anything that comes up, so I can read it.
Well, we appreciate your interest. Yeah, definitely.
Well,
Yeah.
why would I be here?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah, when something's brand new, it takes a team
Yep.
to get it done.
yes, indeed.
So,
We have some immediate needs when we get the budget committee together that could happen the next month even. And usually we do just a meeting in the spring to set us up for the annual budget. So it's not like a huge commitment. However, there are some laws that budget committees of small or special districts are required to follow and whatnot. So we would definitely share all that so that you're not walking in the meeting going, what do I do?
Yeah.
It's just the budget process.
Yeah.
And in fact, I just learned a month ago when we went to a seminar how to do it. So it's not like you have to go to college and learn everything.
So with your background.
It's just, yeah, you can catch up pretty quick. So coming into this with like you said, you're new to it, but you have some personal foundation of budget making already. So don't feel like you're out of the game. This is. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, it's generally probably 2 to 3 meetings starting sometime in April to be finalized by the end of June. And then anytime throughout the year, if there's a need for a supplemental budget or any type of adjustment, it would be called back in at that time, which would be maybe 1 or 2 meetings then.
What's the notes of meetings, like,
For the budget meeting?
yeah, for like, you know,
Oh, we would let you know like weeks in advance. Yeah. We'll set up the schedule. As April gets closer, we'll have a schedule for the first budget meeting, the second budget meeting, and then if there's need for a third one, then that would be determined at the second meeting.
And Ruth Nelson, the finance director for Josephine County, is willing to work with you guys to keep things moving and,
so guidance.
yeah.
Not running into the money.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, we learned a little bit from the last interview.
Yep, exactly.
So,
All right. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
thanks, Matt. Thanks.
Yes, thank you.
Hey, did you figure out if you want that smoke detector for the attic yet?
No, that was a good question. Smoke detectors,
Yeah.
Yeah. Some people put them in them.
is there a special one? Like,
You just can't put a heat.
Smoke detector.
Yeah.
One is the heat.
Yeah, don't get heat.
Yeah.
Don't get heat in there for the attic. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if it goes off and there's no fire, you don't get it? Thanks, Matt. Okay.
Who's on question 1?
So we'll start with you. We'll go that way and then we'll come back around. What's kind of
Oh,
what is
He just asked, so you get 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Hey, have a seat.
We'll start with Randy and then we'll go to you and then we'll come back this way and then we'll go back down the line.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Ken, for joining us. We have a series of about 6 questions to ask you. And we'll start with Director Bonetti.
How you doing? So question 1 is, walk us through your experience with public sector or municipal style budgets. What documents have you built or approved, such as annual budgets, audits, capitals, financial statements, grant budgets, capital plans, etc.?
My sum total of my experience lies within my role as a fire captain and paramedic with my agency. I've been in fire for 28 and a half years. I was a captain for about 9 and a half of the last years of my career. I, to be honest, don't have a vast amount of budgetary experience, although I understand the principles. I understand probably my role would be to oversee, help oversee the budget of the fire district. I'm willing to dive in and educate myself on all the particulars that I'm not very familiar with. It wasn't my career. I'm not a pencil pusher. But that's short and sweet. I ran, let's say I had the reserve program. I had 50 reserves that we were responsible for, training, logging their hours, getting those guys paid. My station budget that I did every year, that I was responsible for. We never left money on the table. Managed to spend that in a very,
Operational.
operational budget. If you don't use it, you're going to lose it in the back. That's kind of the basic sum total of my whole budgetary experience. But I'm fiscally responsible at home. We own our home. We don't carry any credit card balances. I'm keeping it simple. I know that I can do math, and I'm kind of aware of what the district's going to be. I know what it takes to run a fire district.
Okay. Second question, again, these are multi-part questions.
Sure.
This district is starting with effectively 0 assets. If you were building the first annual budget from scratch, what are the first 5 things you would want to know in the first 5 budget lines you built?
I think the first thing would be securing the revenue to support the district. I think that's, without probably our tax base being passed, I think it's a moot point to go even further. I know that once we have a budget in mind, that personnel is going to take up the vast majority of our budget. And then everything else from that point is going to be training.
Materials and services.
Yeah, the operational costs. I mean, it's kind of daunting to think that we don't have a lot of money right now, but to go and to become a district where we need equipment, stations, all the infrastructure. That's kind of intriguing to me.
What do you picture as being the biggest expense?
Biggest expense? If we can use the existing stations, that's check that box off. I think personnel is always going to be the highest, the highest cost.
We're going to spend it all. On 4.
3 and 4, here we go. What do you understand about how Oregon special districts adopt budgets? Public notice hearings. Public notice for hearings. Committee role versus floor role, and how levies or tax bases fit into that process. I would be happy to repeat all of that as
I've got the gist. I think, to be honest, I'm gonna say that if I became a Finance Committee member, then I'd have to bring myself up to the level to understand all of that stuff. And then to be honest, I mean, very willing to do that, very interested in sitting here. But there was no job description when it went out. And so I really didn't know as far as, yeah, come on, you like it. Good time. But so yeah, I will have to bring myself up to speed on all of that stuff, and I know that going in.
All right, any question for subscriptions? So this is public fire protection here, 47 years. From a finance standpoint, what changes when a district moves to a tax base? What improves with that? What are any potential risks? And what should we be careful about?
I think the biggest challenge in my mind is that I think that we probably got one bite at the apple to convince the voting public that this is the way to go. Yeah, and without the public education and just in talking to neighbors and just people I run into in my discussions of, they find out I'm a former firefighter, people don't English. You never think you're going to have to call 911. People don't know what they have and what they don't have. And I think this public education thing is going to be massively important to change the minds of those people that they're happy with what they've got, even if they're a non-subscriber to Rural Metro right now. And I understand that's about a third of the population out there. And that's really my focus. We went through that, and I've got some very good experience with that in my fire district. We separated from the county. We were a dependent fire district. We went ahead and became an independent fire district, and we joined with another agency. And Ralph has the same experience with this merging department. But it was awful at the end because the people thought, why are we paying more money when we already have a fire department, we already have paramedics? They did not, we did. And it was just a massive confusion of people that don't, if you're not into it, they're not really, they have no reason to study it and to educate themselves.
No experiences.
Right. Until you dial 911, you don't need it. That's kind of got a little bit of experience in that regard.
District is very similar to what you're doing with identifying.
Right.
All right. How would you set reserve targets for a new district? The operating reserve, contingency, and emergency wildfire surge costs. What percentages or month of coverage would you consider reasonable and why?
Again, that's probably one of those short pencil questions that I'd be able to answer after a little bit more of the broader picture of what the role is. But I know how important it is to have reserves in every line that we're operating under. And I think that, again, comes back to my initial point that without the funding, again, it's all, it doesn't matter. We're going to have to get this thing passed before, it becomes a reality.
Okay. All right. We'll need land, stations, and equipment starting from zero. How would you structure a multi-year capital plan and decide what gets funded first?
It's going to take some creative funding. I think and I don't know what you guys know about the agreement with Rural Metro, but the stations that we have are probably going to have to be what we're going to have for a while, whether it's through lease agreements or some kind of business business model agreement. We don't have to put money out to buy other buildings right away. The equipment, probably along the same lines that if it's existing, there's, and this is where I don't know what you guys know about the business end of, and I think when the proposals come through, to where it's looking like a reality, at that point, I think that, like I said before, my first answer was the personnel budget is going to be the highest and probably the most important to, it's not just enough to have people, but it's the recruitment, the retainment, all that kind of thing. I kind of look back at 2026, and we really all deserve a higher level of fire protection in our county. And I just think that that's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see it grow to where people don't know what they're paying for right now, but once they're educated, they will be willing, hopefully, to pay for improved level of service.
All right, that concludes the questions we have for you. Do you have any for us?
Yeah, I mean, I apologize for my definitely gave answers. And, like I said before, if I'm very interested in the success of this district, and I would really like to do what I could to help. And I think as a budget committee member, it would be a small role. But I do have some, like I said, some real life experience with, the blending of a district and separating from the county and all that kind of stuff. I was an e-board member for all those years, and we were going through those growing pains and stuff, and they were significant. It wasn't anything that was really easy for anybody. We were not, we did not have our own chief level staff. We were kind of like we were being kind of monitored from a distance by Contra Costa Fire, and we held it together. We ran the calls and staffed the stations, and we did the whole thing on our own without it. But it became a much better, stronger district once we did merge. So,
In regards to your wanting to learn more, Oregon does have laws in regards to special district. And that would be made very easily public to you. I mean, you can find it online too, but we do have to follow the Oregon laws.
Absolutely.
So there'll be a little learning curve for all of us. And we would make sure that information's there for you to start reviewing and learning. So.
And we've told all the other candidates, just so you know, Ruth Nelson, the finance director for the county, she's going to help in the process. We're not throwing you guys at the wolves.
Okay.
So,
It's us guys, we're all.
we're all together. And, so it's a learning process for everybody. And I know you work good with other people, so it's not like you're going to be hanging out.
No, I was going to say that I've been chairs of many committees, but I've also been,
The budget committee for the district is made up of the 5 board members and the 5 budget committee members. That makes us all the budget committee. There's no 2 sides, it's 10-person committee. So that's what we're asking you to do, is join into the committee and be a part of that 10-person committee.
Right. Yeah, and that's important to get. Yeah, exactly. And I also said, I've got this experience. I'm very good staying in my lane, because if I can do anything, I'd be happy to do it. I'm not going to be, what you guys are. I'm not going to apply to be a director.
Maybe in the future.
Yeah, who knows?
All right, Ken, I'm going to walk out and get the next guy.
All right, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you for coming down.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Say hi to Sabina.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Good seeing you. Have a good evening. Oh. You have to get Paul my, my legs are cramping right now.
Do you need like IV Brooklyn or anything?
But we're going to budget now it's going to be Vinnie's and then you.
Yeah, so it'll be Vinny, then Ralph, and then you.
Okay, on the last candidate, Tom gets all stated, but.
That's fine.
No, that one.
We haven't done them yet. Pull them away.
I should have named them all. I don't know.
It's okay, you did fine. Man, my arms and everything cramping up these last.
You drink a lot of water?
Yeah, that's something else. I don't know what's going on. I've been low on potassium or something.
So you was working, Carol said,
Yeah, we gotta work it. We gotta work it now. It may just, there's too many options.
Yeah, that's okay. You're welcome.
Good evening.
Evening, Paul. Thank you for joining us. Well, we've all had a chance to look over your application. We have a series of 6 questions we're asking everybody this evening. And we will start question 1 with Director Owenby here.
Oh, that's me. All right, Paul, walk us through your experience with public sector or municipal style budgets. What documents have you built, renewed, or reviewed, or approved, i.e. annual budgets, audits, coffers, financial statements, grant budgets, or capital plans, that kind of stuff?
Well, to begin with, it's the auditor for the urban planning for Josephine County for 25 years. Started with the state in February of 1992, retired in, I got to look this up today, August of 2019. So I have had contact as an auditor with the payroll side of both public and private entities in this area and other areas that I was stationed in over my career. I was the treasurer for the original Vets for Vets program in Portland when I was stationed up there, and helped with the first stand down on the administrative side of that. That was the only time I ever did a 990, which is the taxation report that nonprofits file. And on that end of it. Outside of that, my education in accounting did include Yellow Book standards and all of that. But primarily I've been in the private sector in terms of dealing with businesses, dealing with people. But I've had the audit experience for a long, long time.
Appreciate that. All right, next question is, the district is starting with effectively 0 assets. If you were to build the first annual budget from scratch, what are the first 5 things you would want to know and the first 5 budget lines you'd build?
Well, the potential sources that you have identified, I assume that you are reaching out for funding sources. When we did the Vets for Vets program, we wanted to put a treatment facility for homeless vets in the Portland metro area. The VA couldn't pay for it, state couldn't pay for it. We were going to have to do fundraising. US Bank was wonderful. We had a wonderful site in Hispanic Town. 80, I don't even know what floor it was, but it was way up high, great views of the city. And we had all kinds of veterans there working on it. So
I never got any idea of how much money was going to come in. I never saw any real activity in terms of trying to generate money. So one day I put together a flow chart and I showed them the expenses as they were going to be coming in. So my first question would be, what kind of activities do you plan in the first fiscal year? Put that together and then compare it to the potential income sources. With this bunch of clowns, all I did was just put a great big sheet of paper and say, you gotta get your act together. So I do have experience with presentations, and I do have experience with difficult situations.
And thank you for your service, obviously being involved with the vets you've been with.
Right. See what that.
We appreciate your service.
Yes, thank you.
All right, Paul, what do you understand about how Oregon special districts adopt budgets, public notice hearings, committee role versus board role, and how levies or tax bases fit into that process?
I'm going to have to completely educate myself on that. I really don't know. I really don't know. And I'd rather tell you that.
Yeah.
Okay. Give you some other kind of answer. But.
You said the right answer.
Yeah.
You said the right answer.
Yeah, you said the right answer.
You're willing to learn.
Make something up, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, last question with me. A subscription service has funded fire protection here for 47 years. From a finance standpoint, what changes when a district moves to a tax base? What improves? What new risks appear? And what should we be careful about?
Well, that's a good question, and I'm glad you have it, because to me, that's one of the central questions that I have in terms of the fire district being formed. I have been with Rural Metro since I bought my property in 1996, I think, down here. And they've always provided very, very good service. I pay about between $300 and $400 a year. Theoretically, what will happen? Well, there's a number of things that will happen. Let's start with coverage or potential coverage. Theoretically, all individual property owners within your district would at one point or another become a covered individual, receive benefits of that coverage. Right now, my neighbor could burn his house down and not be covered by a member of a subscription fire service, or worse yet, this was one of the experiences that I personally had in dealing with some of the other subscription services. There are good professional organizations, and there are other organizations that I have no idea how they're certified. Okay, so you should get, as long as wisdom rules, you should get a higher quality than the poorest, and equivalent quality to the best of the services that you have now. An awful lot depends on what you choose to do. At the present time, I've been directed to continue with Rural Metro as a subscriber. And I understand you entered into some kind of an agreement with them.
Yes.
On the detail.
Yeah.
So from that end of it, the question becomes, does the district intend to replace Rural Metro? Does the district intend to increase the effective subscription rate for Rural Metro to include all of the covered people in your district? You know, that's one of the questions I have in my mind at the present time in terms of dealing with that. In terms of decisions, in financial decisions, that also would tend to drive your budgetary process. If you are going to be buying facilities, infrastructure, equipment and have to train up a whole new set of crews, that's when you set a budgetary requirements. If on the other hand, you facilitating or somehow, with them somehow, then that's going to create a different, lesser set of budgetary requirements. So if it's going to be a public-private partnership, that's one thing. If it's close, then it's something, and that's something you as the board are going to have to decide. That's something I can help with in terms of cost, but it's your decisions.
No, those are great questions and all discussions that we have amongst ourselves.
Yeah.
And we are too, we are looking into those as well, that's part of what we is going to be the best of the constituents of Jefferson County.
Well,
They have experienced extremely strong fire protection from all metro.
absolutely. They did see my property a while back when the neighbor kid, before ganja was legal, decided to throw a grenade back into a whole bunch of people in the chimney, started a food fire on his house, burned the house, burned the roof off of that house, the whole story, and managed to get it before.
So we're all working in that direction that your questions are asking. We're all asking those questions.
Right.
But I want to just clarify one thing. You've been here long enough, you've seen exactly what you said. Multiple agencies, multiple subscriptions.
Right.
With the creation of Fire District, we only have one fire service providing service in our district now, and it is rural metro. And that agreement is between us and them that they can provide that for our district. So we do not have any other districts coming or any other companies coming in and providing services anymore. So that's something, positive change.
Well, then pick the best one.
Yeah.
Going to move on to question 5.
Yep.
Yep.
These are multi-part questions as well. How would you set reserve targets for a new district? Operating reserve, contingency, and emergency or wildfire surge costs? And what percentages or months of coverage would you consider reasonable and why?
Okay, multi-part question. So I'm going to try and tackle it one bit at a time. The reserves that you set would depend upon the function of the district without establishing what the function of the district is going to be, whether it's going to be replacement, whether it's going to be some other function. When we understand function, then we can understand what kind of reserves to set aside. 10% is not a bad basis to have in any organization if you can afford it. Emergency reserves, my God. We can drain the federal budget. We've got a bomb. We live in a bomb here. Okay, quite frankly, one of the things that I have done as a volunteer has been to work with the local animal groups, the animal treatment groups during the fires. And I've met some very interesting animals in the fairgrounds as it come through. But pick your fire, pick your condition, pick your circumstance, pick your disaster. Where for every this is the way I remember hearing this. I don't remember that it's absolutely the case. But for every degree of average increase in warmth in our overall climate here, the snow level increases approximately 1,000 feet in the ridges around us. The groundwater that we depend on comes from that snowpack. This year, for example, we are at about 50% of what's considered to be normal. So we can expect a drier year. So while I can't say, X number of dollars should be set aside, or 3 times the reserve, or something along those lines. I can tell you that the indications that's going to have to be an increasing number of the time, and probably a variable number depending upon the condition of the snowpack and the condition of the forest around us. So I wish I could give you a specific answer for me. Paul speaks.
Flag it.
There you go.
I think you did well.
Yeah.
Swag gets it.
Okay, on to the last question. We'll need land, stations, and equipment. We're starting from zero. How would you structure a multi-year capital plan and decide what gets funded first?
We have a mild climate. So in terms of a capital acquisition plan, the first piece in my mind would be, do you buy new equipment? Do you buy used equipment? In terms of that, I would suggest you buy good quality used equipment to get the most money for whatever money you have available for the acquisition. But having a physical plant without having the equipment doesn't do you much good. You have to have at least some kind of rudimentary facility available for the storage of that equipment. But it doesn't need to be, again, new structures. And if you can find a decent structure, again, that's the way you do it. Okay, from that end of it. In terms of personnel, again, it depends. Are you going to raid experienced staff from rural metro, because those are the people that we have? Are you going to try and recruit people nationwide to come in? Or are you going to try and train people up from scratch? Are you going to try and raid ODF? Are you going to try and raid Forest Service? It just depends on the strategy that you choose to use.
Well, I can tell you from my heart, it would be in our best interest to try to keep what employees Metro has.
Yeah.
We do not want to put anybody out of a job.
Nope.
I work for the employees department. No matter how many times people thought that
There's a difference.
fine.
That's it for the questions. You have any questions for us?
Steve, I don't have to do this, okay? We don't know each other, but about 30 years. We disagree politically about as far apart as you can possibly get. And this is one of our opportunities to work together in something that we can both agree on and believe in. And I'm a firm believer in that. When I did the work I did, I helped the good guys, I chased the bad guys, and I didn't measure my success by the amount of dollars I brought in, by the number of change audits that I did. I measured my success by the number of jobs I saved, by the amount of payroll I saved, by the amount of recidivism I stopped. Now, I don't recognize any of you guys, so I put you guys in the good guy category.
Okay, that's a good place to start.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
But even with the bad guys, you know, and I saved millions of dollars in payroll in this region. I tend to think outside the box for the problems that employers have. Any of you guys employers?
Used to be.
Well, if you get sideways with me, you owe me $1. The problem is that if you owe me $1, you probably owe Department of Revenue $3, and the feds $10. Now, the feds would always come to me and try and put me for information, but I couldn't give them anything, so they'd buy me lunch and they'd talk about how fishing is, okay, or how baseball is, or whatever. And I really didn't like that, because if you owe me $1 and you write me a check for $1, and then somebody from the state comes and says, you owe me $3, pay up now, you clean your bank account out trying to satisfy them, my check bounces, now you're indeed guilty. Okay? And that never made any sense to me. So I couldn't hold people from all these agencies together. But I've been thinking outside the box, and this is an example. I said, okay, why don't we do it this way? You, Mr. and Ms. Employer, invite all three of us in to talk with you at the same time. And then we could sit down and come up with a joint payment agreement that everybody could live with. The employer could pay off his debt, and he wasn't spending all of his time looking over his shoulder, waiting to wonder who's gonna drop the hammer first. Well, yeah, and so I would think outside the box, you had my promise on that. Yeah. In the case of capital investment, well, I think it's a great idea, but I'm gonna tell you, I need to put it first. If it's physical plants, how much do you need it and why? You know, and it's not an adversarial, it's just show me how this works. That's, no, I don't want to be fire checked.
Have you been on a budget committee before?
No.
You sound like you've been on a budget committee before.
Yeah.
Yep.
So anyway, I'm happy with you guys, if I can help you.
Thank you.
And, yeah, you know, success with your organization.
Well, thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
it,
you,
Paul.
Paul. You have a great evening.
She's in a great.
Very
Good night.
We're gonna go grab Kenny. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you very much, Paul. It was nice meeting you.
who's the questions back to now?
So Tom starts with
Back,
number 1 and 2. I'll do 3 and 4. Vinny will do 5 and 6. Hey,
Well, you didn't need me to stay around.
we adapt. We adapt and overcome quite well.
Man, you're here on a special Thursday meeting too. Yeah. Nothing that you want to watch. You can watch that one. Yeah.
Especially because it, wasn't working for the first 15 minutes.
You would have missed the first one.
Thanks for doing this.
Thanks.
We got a few, questions. This is probably a lot from this, some of the questions that I feel like how it relates to the district board or the district budget committee. So, in that, if you have your experience to share with us, what you know. That's not the question. I'm Walk us through your experience with public sector or municipal style budget. What documents have, these are multi-parts, if you need to go back, just, what documents have you built, reviewed, or updated? What is it, annual budgets, audits, CAFRs, or financial statements, grant budgets, capital plans?
So I've been on a number of boards, currently on the healthcare board, I'm on the community action. It's called CAP, I can never remember what the name is. I've been with them 9, 10 years, and we manage, started about a $300,000 a year budget for nonprofits. And we've dwindled down to about 150 a year now. So the nonprofits come to us as a board, they present to us, and then we decide on whether we give them the funds that they ask for, portion of, or more, if we feel like there's a need. Prior to that, I was on the board with the YMCA. So of course, we had a $1 million budget there. I don't have a huge background as far as being strictly in budget, and some of you probably recognize me for running for the board initially. When the position came up and I was asked to explore that again. Just didn't have the time for that once that opportunity came up the second time and was told about this committee and felt that everything was about it. My background in going businesses all my life, been self-employed, so I know all about budgets. They're all kinds of sizes, so I do bring that and have the legal background. I've been in law for 14 years.
All right, second question. Actually, I'm gonna go back. Can you just expand a little bit? You say you've been involved for 14 years. What is that?
I'm a paralegal.
Okay. All right, great. Second question. This district is starting with effectively 0 assets. If you were building the first annual budget from scratch, what are the first 5 things you'd want to know in the first 5 budget lines you create?
We used to start with 0 budget. I tell myself as being pretty creative. And so I know the fire district eventually, the goal is to get it to be funded by taxpayers and having this amount of time to build their trust in order to go talk to them about money. But we have a lot of community resources in which to reach out for that. As far as budgeting, I'm super tight being a business owner. I understand how it works. What we need to bring in, what we need to cover. We need to make sure that every single thing, every line item is something that's going to, get us where we need to be in general. I don't have the steps 1 through 5, so to speak, but I'm not afraid to jump in there and figure out what we need to do.
Okay. What do you understand about Oregon Special Districts adopt? Let me see if yeah. What do you understand about how Oregon Special Districts adopt budgets, public notices and hearings, committee role versus board role, and how levies or tax bases fit into the process?
To be honest, I don't have a lot of experience on that. Most of mine, like I said, it's the airport, which is obviously state level, federal. I do work with the Department of Justice, with the board there, violence against women. We do not have a budget, but we are women. The district attorneys, crisis centers, everything in domestic violence relation comes from our board. That's where all the money, so all the money comes from the government, into our board, and then it goes back out again. So I don't have a lot of sitting, so to speak, because most of my sites have been for federal level. Would love to learn them, that's all. And being in line, I understand motions and orders and deadlines and courts and county and that stuff. I just don't have this specific district background.
All right, question 4. A subscription service has funded fire protection here for 47 years. From a finance standpoint, what changes when a district moves to a tax base? What improves and what new risks appear? Also, what should we be careful about?
So I had a subscription at one point when I lived, I've been there 25 years. So I lived out, I've been traveling for 2 days. Up on the outskirts of town, so I was county. And we had initially we did not have a subscription, I guess our neighbor did. My neighbor had a fire and had some issues, and the fire department came out we rented at the time and had, and had an issue as well, not subscription based, and nobody came and helped us. So it was a pretty, sort of not as, not as quickly, wasn't as efficient by any means. So it's real, I don't see exactly how that works. To me, I prefer the subscription based. Taxpayers, it's really hard to get anybody to give any money. It's gonna be difficult, right? I'm a taxpayer as we all are. And to be honest, my reason for that, and this is kind of an interesting, just quick story. When I first moved here 25 years ago, I lived in Selma. So we had Ivy High School. We had a tax put through. And we put the field in. And I'm gonna get this backward. We put the field in, had to pay $325 a year for property tax. 5 years later, we get another bill of $250 a year to put the parking lot and now replace the football field. That was my first experience with a taxpayer not happy. And so I did actually go to the county and go, so does that mean the first $350 we don't owe anymore? Because now we're paying $250 for what you're digging up and replacing with blacktop? And the answer was no, you're paying both. And they were 10-year taxes.
Wow.
So that was my first, so that's why it's hard to get people to pay the lien.
Yeah.
And that was 18 years ago. A lot different than money back, so.
Yeah.
Okay, so how would you set reserve targets for a new district? Operating reserve, contingency, and emergency wildfire surge costs? What percentages or months of coverage would you consider reasonable and why?
Can you explain the coverage? What is that? So you're talking about with wildfires,
Yeah,
fire protection in general?
so what percentage of month coverage would you consider? So what we're looking at is, what do you consider would be reserve contingency funds of the budget to be able to be ready for unexpected wildfires, risks greater than things that are outside the normal that we deal with?
If you're wanting to break down from 100% budget and take a percentage down.
Yep.
Come to find out that just after that phone call, and they have the dozers out there, which was a neighbor, that they had enough windbreak that the dozer was able to get in and literally did a fire line that